thing? Is that? Nah, I think you guys are just making stuff up. We do what we want. And today, we want to start a little bit early. So we're starting a little bit early.
3 minutes. 3 minutes early.
3 minutes.
We're rebels.
Early. We are. I'm a rebel, Dottie. A loner. What is my hair doing?
Good stuff.
Is it doing good stuff? I have good
Always.
hair? I have good hair? My hair is all sorts of whacked out.
You always have.
That whacked out hair. Lamb, what's going on? Ultra Mega, what's happening? Big Bob, only 5 minutes early. We do what we want. Love Minis, what's happening? Kev Rob, what's happening? Metal God, welcome back. Lando. What's going on, Lando? All right. So it's Dose Day. We only got 2 hours. And we're going to be starting in on something new. So I may cut you off for some of this. Is that all right?
You can totally cut me off. I'm sure I'm not on camera most of the time anyway. So.
No, you're not. But you're getting there. You're getting better. You're getting better.
Just periodic updates is fine.
Okay, good. All right, good. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. We're gonna turn this on, turn that off. Jen's gonna be painting her Terrorgeist over there, right? And I'm gonna get into.
We should show what it looks like right now, and then we can come back to it and show what it looks like later.
I agree. That one off.
Okay, there we go. So last time on Friday, I painted all these little spiky vertebrae bony things, and the little bones in here, and wings. And today I'm going to start, because I'm tired of bones, I'm going to start on all this like muscle and stuff.
It's stuff.
And it's going to be bluish, right? Yeah, like a bluish.
It's your model.
Yeah.
You're going to start with dark blue?
Start with signal blue.
Yep, start with signal blue.
Start with signal blue.
It's super thin already.
All this stuff.
So you can then kind of turn it into whatever you feel like you want to do with it.
Okay.
Boink.
Like one of the cooking shows, you have a model finished under the desk.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
If we just like had it and then we pull out a tray with a model on it. So we prepared this one earlier for you. All right. So what I'm working on
Cooking show magic.
is going to be a new kind of journey for us here, because this is going to be a model that we're going to do kind of to the nth degree. You may think that a lot of what we do here on stream is kind of, high-end painting, high-end techniques, things like that. We're going to take it a dozen steps further on this guy, because I want this guy to be like brilliant, right?
Higher end than already?
Yeah. Like I want this to be, what I would consider to be, display quality paint. So we are going to start. This is the Dino Rider. It was a limited release model. There's only 100 of them in the world that were made. It's a Joaquin Palacios sculpt, so it's really cool. It's got this kind of undead skull-faced dude who is the rider. I built him, but I haven't obviously primed him. He'll be later. The first thing I want to focus on is the dino itself, the mount. So he's riding on this amazing carnivorous beast. I assume it's carnivorous. He has sharp tooths. So it's a fantastic model. It's just an amazing sculpt. When they sent it to me, good gosh, I don't even know how long we've had this. It's been in a box. I showed it off on stream maybe into last year. I don't even remember. And it came in a nice wooden box, like a pine box, and really great presentation. And I put it on a shelf and said, yeah, someday we'll get to that. But a lot of times I'm really afraid of doing models like this on stream, because I feel like a lot of what I will be focused on doing and teaching and talking about maybe leaves people in the dust a little bit. But I'm saying, screw it, we're just going to do it, right? So I'm going to get started on it today. Now, this will be super, super slow progress, slower than you already know me for. Right?
Well, that's been a question that's already come up, does nth degree, is that code for finishing it?
Well, smart ass.
Was me. I'm just representing the people.
Representing the people.
I'm the voice.
Those smart asses. You're scratch building a grain mill? I feel like
Like a pepper
I feel like
grinder?
you found something you really enjoy, Grins. When you shoot Stynylres primer, ask Burial, what PSI do I shoot it at, and do I thin it at all? I do not thin my primer, and I always shoot it about 22 PSI, period. Yeah, the goal is obviously to finish this model. Now, a lot of people make fun and point fun that we don't finish a lot of models here, but remember, most of the models that we paint on stream are meant for a particular tutorial, and then they sit on a shelf because the tutorial finished. I don't paint a lot to finish them, except for like game models, and customer stuff. It's not important to me to finish models. There's like 8 million of them here.
Just really quick side note, the new seems like it held good. Well,
How stiff is it?
not. Does it need to be?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You'd like for it to, as it shapes, but I don't know. Test it and see.
Okay.
All right, so the first thing we're going to do, or first thing that I normally do, again, it's 2 Hour Tuesday, so we're going to dive right in, and I'm going to get really focused here, because like I said, we're gonna spend a lot of time doing this model in kind of a very, very in-depth way. So there's going to be some very weird things, or maybe some pseudo weird things, and one of them is going to happen right off the start that you don't see me do very often. Normally when I do underpainting or pre-highlight, you'll see me starting with white, right? We're not going to start with white today. We're going to actually start with this reddish black color. It's called purple, but everybody's got to be different and call it reddish black. Figured I'd give these paints a try. These are the AK flesh tones, so I don't know what to expect from them, which is usually not the way to start off a model that you really are wanting to go super duper on, but we're going to do it anyway. I know no fear, so screw it.
Terrorgeist is coming along. I will give updates throughout. I'm going to be painting too, but you guys.
All right, so put a little bit of that in there. Float it as we normally do.
Why don't you donate $5 to the cause, and maybe it'll make you
Big
feel
Bob,
better.
holy hell.
Bob.
What is going on, my friend?
Ooh, I like
You put grooves in the bottom half of the mill. You like doing the build your own terrain thing has found you, man. I go through those
$10
times where I'm
donation
like, oh
received
my
from
God,
Big
craft
Godzilla.
my own stuff. And then
It's
I'm like,
super
good
stiff.
God, I'm wasting all my time. But I love, like, terrain building is one of the coolest things that we have that is kind of a complement to our hobby, that is such a great place to turn to if you're kind of, you know, maybe you're sick of painting, maybe you've lost the muse. Building terrain can be awesome, or just doing custom bases is another way. All right, so we're going to take this red-black, aka purple by another name, and we're going to start in on the shadows and start underpainting this guy, truly underpainting this guy, and doing a step that you would see me do later in most models when I am going for more of a what I would call my kind of normal approach to paint. But what we're going to do here is, before we go through with any of our pre-highlight stuff with white and such, we're going to go ahead and layer in the color that I really want to have influencing our shadows, right? So we're going to just turn the model upside down, basically, as close as we can. This is a heavy model, so I'm going to hopefully not drop it, and hopefully it doesn't break apart. So you guys are going to get some potential secrets that I don't normally tell you on a model like this.
What?
It's not that I normally am trying to hide them, but these are just things that I would be doing differently. A lot of people say, hey, what would you be doing if you were painting this model for, say, competition or something? And I'll be like, okay, well, there are some different things that you do, just some different ideas. We had a really, really good talk on one of the streams last week that I need to transfer over to YouTube, where we discussed how to pick base layers for models. Like, how do I, was the question, how do I determine what the colors that I'm going to base a model in are? And so this one is going to show you that kind of to the nth degree, meaning that right now what I want is to kind of create the color on the model that I want my shadows to have be influenced by, right? So we've got this neat color that is kind of a purple, reddish, black, whatever the hell it's called. Right? And I'm going to spray that right over the black, as you see me doing. It's very, very thin, so a lot of my black is still showing through. This color is actually fairly bright. And I'm just going to be very liberal with it. I'm going to put it everywhere where I think I want to have the skin tone affected by it. So it's not just on the underside of appendages, right? I'll go on the top side, like this leg under here is going to be mostly in shadow anyway. So I've gotten all of it.
Well, huzzah, huzzah! I'll just throw back my legs and pollute my
Kevrock,
britches
20
with
freaking
delight.
months, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Firmly planted in the Lying Liar Who Lies Club. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Guys are heroes and heroines. Dudes and dudettes. Centaurs and centaurettes.
There's no such thing.
Huh?
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing as a centaurette?
Correct. Or a dudette.
Or a dudette? I feel like
Yeah,
there is.
There's no such thing as a dudette.
I feel like there can be.
No.
I feel like we can make it up. We can just do what we want to do.
But we don't want to do that, so. Well, just a couple bones underneath here now that I'm painting other stuff.
You're noticing all the things you forgot.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. Welcome to miniature painting. Again, because this is a pre-coat, right? We're underpainting. We can get away with murder. We don't have to worry about overspray and any of that. What I want to make sure of is that my white, when I start putting my pre-highlights down, goes over the top of this. So we'll wind up at the end of the day with the standard kind of gray pre-highlight that I do. And then underneath that gray pre-highlight, we will have our shadow color. And on this model, I want the shadow to be kind of purple. Now, the skin color that I'm going for is going to be various shades of golden browns and reddish browns. Right? So like we talked about the other day, okay, if you know what the skin color you're going for is, how do you choose a base tone? Well, as you can see, I'm actually basing this in something that has nothing to do with my skin tone. I'm basing it in what I want the color of shadow / blood under the skin / all of that other effect that I'm going for, rather than worrying about the actual skin color, because this model is gonna be kind of a deserty yellow base tone, I guess, at the end of the day. I mean, we'll see. I'm going to be playing with color a lot as we go through this process. And I can push shadow a little bit further than I might normally do it, because the white pre-highlight that I'm going to put on here will force it all back to where it needs to be. Like I said, I can be a lot more liberal than I might normally be if I were doing the shadow secondarily, right? Like you see me do on most models. But again, you can expect a model like this to take hundreds of man-hours. And so starting off on the right foot is always something you want to try to think about, even if it means additional work. I'm not concerned with time. I'm not concerned with, I'm more concerned with effort to get the look I'm going for. And if that means that I got to extend the effort beyond what I normally do, then fine. Because at the end of the day, this is a spectacular sculpt. There's only 100 of these made in the world. So let's do it some justice, is the goal. I'm not going to have we painted one of those and we'll see another one someday. No, that's not going to happen. This is going to be the only one of these we ever see probably on stream, unless somebody crazy has one. And I don't like to paint the same thing twice. I was going to say, sends it to me to paint. I'd be like, I already did that. All right. Again, up from underneath, that kind of reddish purple, purpley black, reddish black. Obviously, I am starting on the bottom side away from my light source. I'm just doing a topical light on this guy so that basically the light is coming from up above, aka sunlight, outside light, whatever. I'm hoping to kind of blend, some traditional kind of leathery dinosaur-style lizard skin. Various things that I found as references, one of which being a skink.
A what?
A skink.
What's that?
It's like a version of salamander that tends to have like yellowy brown colors on the forward part of its body with like black stripes and vivid contrast going on, and then turquoise and blue tail. We're going to give him a turquoise and blue tail.
Cool.
Along with all of this desert yellow and reddish browns that go up front, move up towards the front and the snout. So he'll have a very kind of contrast right on the model just because of the scale color changing towards the tail. It'll go from like a turquoise into kind of a brilliant blue on the tail, if we pull it off right. But all of it, I want my shadow color on this model, even the dude on top, the shadow color is going to trend into purples. And that's just a thing that I've got in my head. Will it work? Who knows? Who knows?
Hey, Bill Neary. Bill Neary got himself a Terrorgeist yesterday.
Nice.
Said he couldn't resist after
Well,
seeing it.
huzzah!
Man, they're great models.
Just throw back my legs and pollute my britches with delight.
Pandemic Arts, what's going on? Thank you so much. That Twitch Prime sub coming in.
He also said your model is amazing.
That's what?
That your model looks amazing.
My model is what?
Looks amazing.
Oh, this is an amazing model. It was a what I would call kind of a intermediate build. But I would say it's probably more of a veteran build once you get to the part where you have to fill the gaps and do the sculpting for where the resin didn't really go together very well in some places. It's a tremendous sculpt, don't get me wrong. right? But sometimes, you know, I mean, the sculptor doesn't always decide how the model comes apart and goes into the mold. This one has a little bit of problem with the legs and how they connect to the body. The head was pretty good, so I'm not overly displeased with it by any means. But it was kind of a, I would call it an intermediate build. Other people might call it a fairly advanced build. But I was pleasantly surprised with how easily everything went together. There wasn't a whole lot of shaving or sawing necessary to get the resin to work, just a little bit. So that was nice. It was just that once the resin got together, there was a little bit of trying that I had to do to get like the arm and how the arm goes into the body here. I had to actually fill the gap, sculpt more wrinkles in the skin. Now the nice thing is, because it all is natural skin texture anyway, made it a whole lot easier for me to go through and do that at the end of the day than like if it were armor plates where the sculpt had been cut.
Sean Min's prints. I'm still working on the Terrorgeist. I'm doing the muscle part right now. All just kind of boring stuff. So you're gonna watch Jason's cool model, and I'll give little updates here and there. Oh, cool. Bill Neri said he picked it up and put it down in the store several times, but last night Key Lime had one as top D, so he had to get it.
Nice.
Very cool.
Did you win it? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Holy hell, it doesn't get better than that, man.
Yeah. Dozer 1791. Slow fuse, what do you prefer to use to fill the gaps on models?
Most of the time, if it's small gaps, I just use the plastic putty from Vallejo. We sell it on the store. It comes in 20 mil bottle like the paints, or it comes in a tube. Hang on a second, I'll grab it and show it to you. I don't think I have it over here. I think it's still on my bench. Hold, please. This stuff. And it's great for, I would say, probably 90% of what you're going to do in miniature. Beyond that, sometimes I have to get out, like on this guy, I had to get out in a couple places where there was almost an 1/8 of an inch gap. You know, the epoxy sculpt, the two-part stuff like green stuff. But epoxy sculpt tends to cure faster, so I tend to want to use it when I can. But between those two, you can do pretty much anything. There is other gap filler that you can use that works pretty well, like lightweight stuff, depending on how thin it is. The Hobbyco Hobby Light filler I use a lot, just for, like I said, when you've got a model that doesn't require a whole lot of gap filling at all. It's just thin seams. Maybe there's some mold lines that you cleaned that you want to make sure you get the texture of the model back, or, you know, the flatness of the area. Maybe you had to scrape a seam and it distorted the plastic a little bit. The Hobbyco Hobby Light filler is great, but it does not survive sculpting. So if you've got something like this where I actually had to go in and add back wrinkles on the skin and such, it's not the best thing out there.
Doka Samark said I started using the Vallejo plastic putty because the slow fuse is so easy to use. And Bill here, said yesterday was his lucky day. Listen to this. He won another set of utility bomb wicks from Enigma, won a painted bust from Key Lime, and got the Start collecting box with Terrorgeist as top D for less than retail, and got to support Chris.
That's crazy.
It's a win-win-win-win situation.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's great. That's awesome. I saw later in the day where Chris had Keyline Prime. If you're not familiar with Keyline, go type in his name in Twitch and give him a follow. Great guy. I saw where he had posted that he was doing that Flesh Eater Quartz giveaway. That's a neat box. Good stuffs.
Gren said, if you do whip, check out the little tool I made. I took a wooden spreader for sculpting and used a triangle file to make grooves in it to make it into a texture tool for putting wood grain into foam.
Oh, wow.
The light doesn't show how well it works, how well it looks. Watch out a bit.
Chances are I will not look at whip today, guys. Sorry about that. We'll do it tomorrow during Whip Wednesday. But never say never.
Greenleaf says hi.
Hey, Greenleaf. No, he doesn't. He doesn't say hi. Don't lie to me. I know what he says. Stitch. And then I just was nice to him again. Hi, Greenleaf. How are you today?
Don't worry, we're super nice when you said hi. This blue.
What's that, babe?
Said I really like this blue.
It's a great blue, right?
a really
It just
good
is so
blue.
good for a starting point. You can see that you can take it anywhere you want, pretty much. Make sure I get even down in these folds on the upper side of these wings with a little bit of this. Like I said, when we go back with our white, it's going to cover most of this up anyway, and only leave it for us in the darkest of the shadow recesses. Right? I'm not wanting this to get super, super bright for that reason, because it needs to be a shadow color. It needs to exist on the underside of everything and not brighten up our dark black too much. And I ran out of paint again. Red stitches. I'm not minding this color. I kind of like it.
Reddish black.
Reddish black. It doesn't seem reddish black at all. It seems like purple. But on the model over black, then it does become reddish black when you do it really thin. Again, it's, I chose it because I know I was going to thin it out and throw it over black. It seems, in the cup, it's too pale of a purple, right?
It does look really pale.
Yeah, it's a very pale purple, very desaturated purple, kind of along the lines of our wasteland soil that we like, just with a little less red, more blue, less red. But I liked the overall hue and was hoping that we'd get exactly what we're getting out of it, that a little bit more of that red would pop over if we thin it out, throw it over black. This color over anything else, I think I wouldn't like. Like, it's sold as a shadow for Caucasian skin. I'm not sure that I would use it for that, but for what I'm doing here, where I want that kind of undertone of reddish, purpley, blood under the skin kind of color for all of my shadows, then I'm okay with giving it a shot. And so far, I'm
Hey, somebody likes us.
Who dat? Jack Mischief. What is happening? Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome, everybody. Hope your week is kicking off all right. It is Tuesday, first stream day of the week for us. We do Tuesdays, Wednesdays tomorrow, where we'll be doing some Whip Wednesday, and I'm assuming that we'll continue working on models like this. I do like the ultra flat nature of this. It's a really good flat color, so I'm digging it.
It's very cool. Guy Allen, I'm still working on the Terrorgeist. I'll show it. We'll let you watch Jason's cool model for a little bit, and then we'll pop it up here for a minute. And this is the store. This isn't just our...
That's just Jen's paint rack.
It is our personal paint collection,
That's
sort of.
Jen's personal paint collection back there.
This is
We have a
for you
hobby store.
guys.
We have a hobby store at slowfusegaming.com, where you can go and buy all of the wonderful things you see us using most of the time, including our very own line of brushes. You've heard of our brushes. We manufacture our own brushes, our own racks, a lot of our own stuff, as well as selling Vallejo, AK, Army Painter, some other third-party stuff as well. Thank you for the support.
Work Pride, I saw, like a month or so ago, I saw a unicorn cereal, and I almost bought it, but I don't know. I wasn't going to eat it, so it seemed kind of silly.
The only way she eats cereal is like in a cup at the end of the night.
I'll eat like a little
Like a dessert.
treat. It's almost like dessert, yeah.
So, I mean, like, that would probably have been the exact cereal that you wanted for that.
No, I would. It was
Too
like,
sweet?
pure sugar, yeah.
Looked like it was too much.
Yeah.
Just nothing but kid sugar.
Yes, it was a kid cereal for sure.
It was kids ADD maker.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get just a little bit pounded down in between all these hairs. Again, when I go back over this with the pre-highlight of white, it's going to cover most of this, but maybe a little bit will stick in to the shadows between the texture on the hair. Go in and fast layer some, again, right over everywhere we're already hit. And that's looking pretty good. So again, the whole goal here is to start to achieve colors that I want to see subdermally on the skin. You know, even though dinosaur hide, probably more leathery than human flesh, probably not as translucent, probably not going to pick up all of the colors underneath for veins and things like that. I'm still going with I want that feel in the model because it just brings more life into it in the long run. So rather than just paint it, you know, hey, it's green with brown polka dots or something, you know, we want to try to get more color laid over it. And that's going to be the one that influences our shadows. Check and make sure that from the underside we've got a good covering. Now we're going to switch over to white and do our standard pre-highlight on this guy.
See, it's not just me. Grins and it's a bedtime snack in just a little bit.
What? When will the email change for what? For the store? Technically, it already has. It's just all in the background until we've got the new storefront ready to roll. But we've got new email addresses. The old ones won't stop working, though, so we just haven't announced all that yet. Again, we are, for those of you that may not be familiar, we are changing our brand name from Slow Fuse Gaming at the store level to Monument. And we've already started down that path. The new brushes already come with a Monument logo on them. All the stickers that you receive in your orders say Monument. You can go to monumenthobbies.com and get to the store.
Only the igniters.
Yeah, the igniters. As we run low on stock of other things, the new stock will pick up, and you'll see all of the new Monument branded things in the store. The magnets are already branded Monument. We make our own magnet line now for hobbying. The racks, I just ordered the next round of racks. We've got some really cool new racks coming. Oh my God, I'm really psyched about these. So everybody, we started talking about it a long time ago when we started talking about the Go Bag, how I was going to make racks that held the foam trays for the paint so that you could take the paint rack out of your Go Bag. You know, because our hobby bag that we make and sell has the paints in this foam tray, right? And so, like, when Jen and I go out tonight and paint, we put a bunch of paint in our foam trays, we take it to the store, then we come back, and what's happened is that we do this so often that we leave the foam tray with the paint sitting on the desk, and so I've been like, that really has pressured me. I'm like, okay, we got to get this tray built. So it's designed. I got samples coming. Hopefully we'll get the samples in the next couple of weeks. I think he said 2 weeks for samples. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks I'll have the samples, verify that the samples work, and then we'll be off and running with that order so that sometime October-ish or early November we'll have all the new racks. Nice stuff. Yeah, Bill Neary, the rider is assembled. The rider for our dinosaur, he's not primered, but he's all put together. I didn't go back and check for filling gaps and anything. I just did all the light file work to get him to go together. He's got like a little gap in his neck there that I got to handle. But yeah, I did him. I chose the head with the tongue sticking out so that I could do the spears on his back. I really like that guy. And then I like the axe arm thing, the axe blade on his arm is really cool. This guy rides on top of our dinosaur. It is called a dino rider. So there you go. You'll product test the paint rack, slide in. But yeah, Dano, the foam tray racks are coming, and I think you guys are really going to like the format that I chose to do it under. Once I get them, once it gets closer, I'll start talking about them more. You're guessing with a purple underside, we're doing a red top. Nope, horse rank, no, not at all. Nope, As a matter of fact, the next color we're going to do is white. This is all just the underpainting. This is my shadow and my highlight. Setting values on the model. The thing is that because I know I want so much of the shadow to have that purpley influence, I didn't want to do it after I do the pre-highlight. So I did it before, so that now when we go back and do this pre-highlight that you're used to seeing us do, this is just pure white paint. With uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, whatever comes after cinco. 6. 6. Ish.
Snot Rash said big success this weekend. Don't have the final numbers yet, but it looks like they raised over $3,000.
Heck yeah.
Again for
the Black
support.
Fan Anemia.
Yes.
That was great. I saw some of the pictures of the
Awesome.
people that got cool stuff. That's
their
awesome.
winnings, their brushes.
Very, very awesome. Glad to help. And glad to hear that it was a success. That's always a good thing. All right. Again, we want this pretty thin.
Bill Neri said, "Well, I have to put my paints in my go bag upside down so I can see the colors." Pretty much see the tops
Yeah.
of the colors.
They stick out far enough in the
They
go
stick
bag
out.
that you can tell what color's what, I think. But you do you. All right, so here, as per normal, what I'm going to do is just kind of pick an angle. I'm going to choose, because of the way this guy is, again, we're going to kind of go off of his right shoulder, which is going to be this way. So my light is going to be coming from here. So as we go through, I'm going to start about 6 inches back, and I'm going to just start lightly applying this white. Right? Never changing the angle of the brush, only raising it maybe up or down, but never altering the angle. So I've got this on an angle from about 10 o'clock, pointing down at the model at about, like I said, 6 to 8 inches away. I'll close in every now and then if I feel like I need to get a little closer. Just dusting it, so I'm going to get those grays on here real quick. My white is very, very thin so that it doesn't give any speckling or spotting or any of that. Again, we're using our white, our special blend of white. This is formulated for being able to run through the airbrush without any issues. It's an amazing titanium. Now I'll just kind of focus in on some of these areas here. All from this angle. It's a big model, so it's got a lot to focus on as we go. I'm going to get the tops of these horns out towards the snout, side of the face, armored plates. Never stopping with the paint. Paint's continuous right now. Bingo. All right. As I pick him up, what'll happen is you'll start to see why now I did that purple first. Look at this really cool kind of iridescence that we get as the overspray of that white starts turning our base coat different shades of gray. And now look at how my shadow plays into that. All right, it's perfect. It's literally like kind of an OSL is happening that is harder to obtain if we do the shadow secondarily. So in this case, shadow first, highlight next, and then we start applying the actual colors that we want to see on the model, very, very thin, so that this purple and these grays and whites will influence that. But now hopefully we'll get the transitions that we really want. You can see why I did the purple like up underneath the eye, all through these scales, because each place there's a three-dimensional little bit on the model that blocks the spray from coming down. I get that nice purple there, right? So that's why I didn't just leave it in the shadows alone, okay? Yeah, and now you can actually start seeing all the really cool details on this guy too as we do this. All right, so I'm going to put him back the way he was. Make sure my needle is clear. White is very thin, so I shouldn't be seeing too much build up on the needle, but every now and then you get it anyway. I'm going to go right back down the center of the model, really focused on brightening up that center line and any of these spikes. Again, never changing the angle of my airbrush. The hardest thing when doing this is to remember that you're going to see spots that get dark real quick and you're going to want to like cover them, right? And that's not what we're here for. We want to make sure that we're not going back and trying to correct anything right now. We're just keeping this same angle. Right? I'm brightening up these plates here a little bit. I don't know if the camera is going to show you that, but see how I'm doing those brighter than I'm doing like the rest of the tail, because that's going to be non-metallic metal plates on there, so I can start to at least set that up now. And back to My white is so thin that it's going to take it a couple passes to build up to the level that I really want it at. Fine. I'm going to move. This model's so long, I'm going to have to move it like here so that I can kind of get down on these under spots over here so that I can keep my gun at the same angle. If I were going to try, if I keep the model over here, right, and I've got the gun like this, like say it's at this angle, right, pointed down like this. If I want to shoot this and get anything on it, I actually have to change the angle of the gun. I have to bring it up over the top, which now moves the angle to where now the white is coming at a steeper angle towards the model and will fill some of my shadows that I really like from this angle. So in order to make sure that I can shoot past the center line of the model and get this wing over here, I just have to move the model closer to me. Now I can keep the airbrush at the same angle it was for the other side, and now I'm not hitting the center line of the model. I can just focus on this wing and whatever body parts are over here that I need to get, right? Like so. Okay, whereas I couldn't get that angle to shoot it over here, I move the model but not the brush. Spray here, get as much as I can, move the model closer, get as much as I can, move it over here until eventually I can't hit it at all. It's shooting over here because I'm not adjusting this. Okay? Now if I pick the model up, again, you should see how it's starting to brighten up along that center line. I've got that amazing kind of purplish. You'll start seeing that white overspray as it hits on the details down here, like the tops of the scales. Right? Again, if I turn it upside down, the bulk of what I'm going to see is just that purple with the halo of the pre-highlight. Then when we look at this side, where we don't have much lighting, right, we're still very dark. Now we don't want that because we're not doing it like there's a big torch light on this side and shadow over here. So I need to rotate the model 180 degrees, which would put it on my table like this. And now I need to lightly spray back against my highlights. Not near as much attention to the amount of white that I'm putting on this time. Right? I say attention. Lots of attention to the amount of white I'm putting on. I'm just not putting as much white on from this direction. Sense? I just want to keep the same angle and get rid of this darkness that I got. So that now I get a little bit more of a secondary glow, but the main light is here. This is going to be the bright side of the model. This will be the not as bright side of the model, but we don't want it to drop off into pure darkness and look like some sort of weird OSL effect. This will just give me a good transition. I'm even going to take the model in my hand now. I'm going to force a little bit of white into areas like down in this claw, back of the foot.
What's this one called again?
Dino Rider.
From?
It's a custom sculpt by Terrible Kids Stuff for Joaquin Palacios. It's not for a game or anything. It's just a really amazing sculpt. Joaquin is one of the world's best sculptors, in my opinion. He is the guy that you'll see doing all of the custom, like the crystal brush models, like the custom sculpts that have, you know, big space wolf dude and all that kind of stuff. He's that kind of sculptor. He does amazing work. And this is a 1 of 100 sculpt. A little bit of highlight on like the back of the arms here. I'm going to go ahead and just feather real quick down. Get a little bit of highlight in these details. Obviously, I don't want to brighten up like the underneath of the wing too much, but I am going to go ahead and cheat and put a little bit of highlight down in here just to drag some of that detail out. On this side. Fade a little bit back up onto that foot. Probably get just a little bit from the chin. Mouth there. A light dusting in some of my shadow areas, so I get to pick up a little bit of this detail. Ink. Good. Got that. I turn it back the way it was when we started, and I don't have much paint left. Let's see if we can squeeze just a little bit out of this. That's about all we'll get. That's fine. Out. Off real quick so you guys see. Talking about. So now we've got pre-highlight with all of our values set. We start finding all of our shadows. Ensure that we don't overdo it. We don't want to get too much brightness as we look up from the bottom of a model. We want it to all exist at the top of the model. And notice here, I brought that shadowy purple up further so that as the white layers in, you still get that small little taste of it in between, like the muscles here, right? The back of the neck here, you can still see a little bit of it. Will it survive the actual layers of color that we put on the model? Probably not, but it gives us the opportunity to have it be so, right? It definitely will survive as we start layering the skin tones on up underneath, because we'll go on very, very thin. And the idea is that we'll come back after this with a glaze of this same or very similar sort of purple, red, black, whatever we want to call it, right? But by giving it an initial presence, the next colors that we put on can be influenced by it. And you'll see a little bit of that purple seep through them. And then when we go back and glaze on over it, it makes it to where you don't just have a line of shadow. That shadow can exist further out into the skin at lower value levels. And then you just focus on where you want to darken it up. So it brings all those colors together. Clean this brush out real quick. We'll start in with some of the colors that we're actually going to see on this guy. Because like I said, I'll show you the colors in it that we're going to do next. We're going to go in with some greens, some yellows, again for underpainting purposes. And then we're going to show you the actual colors that the skin will be.
Warm in here today.
It is warm in here. Well, I think it's just hot outside, period.
I'm going to turn the air down.
It's still hundreds of degrees in Arizona.
Get down with the clown.
Ow! Telemachus, what's up? Nice, Bill. Test the dyno on a that's not a thing. Sean Mins, this model so same you've already picked your next project model.
Up before we leave.
Oh yeah.
It'll be freezing in here when we get home.
All right. So now I want to go in with a little bit of Cam Dark Green. Let me just go ahead and show you the colors that I have lined out. Now, if you know me, you know that my projects don't always go the way I've planned. I've got a couple of the other AK Shadow Flesh colors that are these very dark purpley reds. We're going to put a little bit of that in, again, in flush areas to represent blood under the skin, like around the eyes, nose, elbows, knuckles. We'll do a little bit of spot with that here in a second. But we're going to put a little bit of green, again, as kind of a shadow influencer, veiny color under the skin thing. He's not going to be a green dragon. We're going to go in with a little bit of yellow ochre. All of these are underpaints. These are colors that I want to influence the skin tone, but we're going to paint them first and then throw the skin tones on over them and then glaze them with a brush on later on. After we get this down, we're going to go in with dark brown RLM. Right, that will be the base color for the skin. After we've done the purples, the white overspray that we've already done, the flesh reds, the greens, the yellows, then we'll go in with the dark brown RLM as the base coat for the skin. After that, we'll move into Beastie Brown. Right, after Beastie Brown, we will move into Golden Brown. After Golden Brown, well, and I say after Golden Brown, there's going to be a lot of coloration. The belly and legs and extremities are going to be very light. The upper part of the back is going to be darker and leading into more of an orangey reddish brown. So you'll see that on the belly, I'll go from the kind of golden brown area into buff and pale sand. That'll run down to the legs and the chest area and a little bit up over the tail. Then we're going to use Parasite Brown and mix Parasite Brown with a little bit of black red. Or we might go back and use that color that we just did, that reddish black purpley color that we just did because it was kind of cool, with black red, so that we can get kind of a reddish brown up towards the nose. And then we've got Burnt Umber that is going to be used for kind of tigery stripes. And then, of course, there will be various unsundry mixes of these colors as we need to kind of get them all to work together. So just for the skin alone, right now, the way that I've got it in my head, and I'll probably be adding lots of colors, but just for the skin alone, since we already did this and, of course, the white, right, that's 14 colors, okay? Just so we can get the dino skin kind of the way I want. And there'll be lots of other colors that influence that along the way. Stuff that when we move to the brush will have a big impact. These are primarily the colors that we're just running through the airbrush. So 14 colors through the airbrush for the skin on this guy is the goal. Whether I use them all, who knows? Whether I substitute some of them, who knows? We all just play it by ear as we move along, as we see how the colors land and react. We'll change as we need. All right, so this time we're going to add in a little bit of green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops of green. A little bit. The model's so big that a little bit for this is like 3 times as much as I use for any other model generally. Again, I am flooding these with Flow Improver. These are all needing to be really, really thin, almost glaze style colors. So probably 3 times, 4 times the amount of Flow Improver than there is paint, so that they will allow all the colors beneath them to show through. It's the way I'm going to be painting with damn near every color you see me put through the airbrush on this guy. Go. Pick him up. And I'm going to start in with kind of these areas where we come out of that purpley red color that we put down. I want this green to live at the boundary of that and where my brighter colors are going to be. So kind of on our little overspray of white that we see in these areas, I'm now going to throw this green in. Remember, the skin's not going to be green. But right along that boundary where I've got that purple coming up, now I'm going to hit it with this green. Kind of angled back down and letting that green blend in just a little ways into that purple. Overlap them a little bit. All right, so I've got some right in here in the pinch of the underarm. Shadow of the belly side here. Again, I'm just going to run this green right along in there. That cool purple running up into that green. Same thing down here on the hands. Claws, hands, whatever the hell dinosaurs have. Right along the calf, back of the leg. Along this length of tail. Again, notice how I'm keeping the nozzle moving so that it's just feathering that edge as I go along. Get a little bit of green down into the purple. Have it come up out of that purple into our pre-highlighted area where the white is. I don't care about inconsistencies in the color. If it gets a little bit stouter in some areas than in others, that's fine. The goal is to have it be visible through the browns that I'm going to lay on next. And remember that we also will have to go back in and glaze these colors on later as well. What we're trying to do is give them a little bit of presence right now so that we're able to see them through our base coats and our skin tones. Go ahead on the wings too. The wings I don't have as good of an idea on, so I'm going to have to figure that out as we go, but that's going to happen pretty quick. Unlike the Terrorgeist wings that Jen is doing, these wings don't have the bones exposed, right? They're actually like, like bat wings with the skin over them. I'm leaving a lot of my white untouched, so that green, it's kind of creating racing stripes. I've got white, I'm going to have green, right? Then that purple. On this side, see how I've got the purple starts living with that grayish white on my pre-highlight right around here. So I just want to split the difference right in between that. Put the green along the white and then down into the purple a little bit too. So just feathers in between like that. I keep my angle to where it's coming down. I don't want to be firing it directly into. I think my needle's getting clogged up here. That little bit. And force a little bit up into the scales here. Just following that line of purple. Blending it together with our white everywhere where the two of them hit. Even back here where the tail is going to go from turquoise to really bright blue, we're still doing all of this the exact same way. Some of it's going to get colored up, or, whenever we put the blue on there, maybe the blue overtakes the green entirely. That's fine. It doesn't take us much more effort to just go ahead and ensure that all of these subdermal colors that we're thinking will look cool live on the model anyway. All right. Pretty good. Wings. Yeah, anywhere where my overspray, remember how I looked down on the underside of the wings and said I'm going to cheat a little bit, put a little bit of color down here even though it's all mostly shadowed area. Anywhere where that overspray got, I want to hit it with this green. So like on the knuckles of the wing back here. Go ahead and put a little bit of green on there. Oh. Alright. Let's clear this out, do a little bit of yellow.
Hands. So over the weekend, my friend received delivery of his grand prize. He won a fully painted Forge World Warlord Titan.
Oh yeah.
Everyone.
I saw that guy on Facebook. I'm friends with him on Facebook, I think. He got it from Nova Open.
Everyone I spoke to while we were celebrating at the local GW store thought I was insane because I told them I wouldn't keep it. I'd rather trade it for $3,000 in unpainted, unassembled models.
Yeah, I wouldn't have need for a Warlord Titan. But that's like a holy grail thing for a lot of people, you know? Like, I wouldn't have any need for it. I'd be like, yeah, you want to take me out to steak dinner? Every day of the week for a year? All right, so now it's time for yellow ochre. Probably don't need as much, but I went ahead and put 5 drops in there anyway. It's a model air color. Probably get away with it not being quite so thin. Yeah, I saw that thing. It was a nice looking Warlord. I don't remember who painted it. I don't know if it was the one that Dave Taylor painted or who had painted that for Nova. 2 years, not this Nova, but last Nova, I did one of the raffle giveaways. The Dark Age 2-player starter box I did with Dave Taylor. And that was a lot of fun. One of our viewers actually won that.
I remember that.
Which was awesome. A viewer and follower on it. All right, so now we're going to start putting the yellow actually on these brighter areas of skin. Where we see the highlights. All right, so where this white kind of lives on its own, now we're going to hit with this yellow. And that's going to give us kind of that sunny brightness. So I'm using the airbrush much at the same direction that I did the pre-highlight from, except more specific. I'm not just dusting the whole model. Right. Going in and hitting, like I'm not going to get the armor with it because I'm only worried about skin right now. I'll come right along the center line of the tail. Yellow ochre, drag it into the green just a little bit. So, kind of a thing going on where we've got our purple, our green, and then our bright yellow up top. I mean, heck, you can see how if you wanted to, this would be a really quick way to get this color. If you wanted to have your lizard thing be green, And this doesn't look half bad for just a skin tone. Top of the cheeks, making sure I'm not pushing anything too far into the shadows, if at all, if I can avoid it. A little bit of highlight in these other places. Don't have to cover all my white. That's not the goal. I just want to get enough of this yellow playing on here in areas like here on the back of the calf muscle like that to give the, again, a little bit of influence to the skin tones that I'm about to put on. Because remember, this guy's going to be more like desert tan, reddish browns. That's the colors that we're going to end up with. Might be hard to understand how that's going to happen right now because you're saying, no, it's not. It's a green lizard. I'm watching you paint green lizard, Jason.
I feel like I've seen something like this before.
What's that?
I feel like you've painted red and then had it turn green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, green
or
and
the
had
other
it turn
way.
red.
The other way. Yeah, that's what I meant.
With that bright electric green on the Grimkin dog.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a different kind of a study in how to underpaint your flesh tones for making things happen really quick. This is not the real quick version of that. This is the if you don't care about time and you want to just get really, really cool colors on so that your skin has all sorts of really cool dimension to it, depth and craziness. This is what we're doing here. So again, I'm just kind of angled down. I want to get this area of the cheek right across the top of the nose. These scales are actually not metal.
Bill Neary, you're a hero. Bill
skin color
Neary
scales.
typed out the explanation of what model this is, and he's just copying and pasting it anytime someone asks.
He's copying and pasting it for everybody. Yeah, this is a one-off deal. Well, not a one-off. There was 100 of them made by Joaquin Palacios. Probably butchering Joaquin's name, but you can follow him on Facebook, Joaquin Palacios. You can catch him on Instagram as JOA Pala, P-A-L-A.
Horse rank, he's using our own white that we make. We currently sell it under the name Special White on our store, slopeviewsgaming.com.
Yeah, the white that I use for all of our pre-highlight is the special white that we make and sell, although we are out, I think. Are there any over there?
No. We are. Oh,
We're
nope, I lied.
a couple?
There's a couple.
There might be a couple left in stock right now.
Get it
There will
in.
not be any more special white made until our paint line launches. So it is the one that I'm using right now is the one that actually will be in the paint line, like the actual physical white that's in the paint line that goes by the same kind of mixing regiment that we did our handmade stuff. But I will no longer be hand making special white until our paints launch. And our paints look like they're not going to launch until November. Looks like we missed our October timeline window for that. I'll keep updating you. We're not 100% sure on that, but I don't want to guess October anymore. I'm thinking that we're probably more like November. All right. There we go. Cap on this guy. Not to bend my needle all to hell. Okay, and now see how we still maintain that purpley shadow, but now our purple shadow runs in through that green. Right? Only purple shadow from below, a little bit of green halo. Then we get that green that runs the line in between that and our highlighted yellow now, which used to be our white. All of this still acts as the value tracing and underpainting for the colors that we're going to put on top. Right now, we want a more desaturated palette, like you can imagine, lizard flesh in the desert being. The rider for this is kind of a half-naked. He has skin though, which is really weird. Like he's got skin on all his parts except his head. He's skull boy, but he's got skin. But because he didn't have much clothing on, like literally he's got like a cod piece and then armored legs and shoulder plates and that's it, right? I mean, he's literally wearing like the mankini, right? And so I figured that we were going to want to do like a deserty scheme or something that you'd find if you rolled up on the beach of a dino island or something. And this guy comes running out of the jungle to attack you. So that's what we're going for. So all this green and yellow that you see right now is hopefully just going to play a very minuscule bit part in this movie as we move towards the actual skin tones here. And that, I think, comes next. We're going to start throwing browns at this thing. Just in time for Christmas, exactly, Sean Menz. We were hoping October. Our whole goal was to have the paints available for the full time of fourth quarter. I just don't think it's going to happen. The order for the bottles just got placed yesterday, I believe.
Oh, did it? It did.
Yeah, it did.
I don't know. It did.
He said he was doing it yesterday, so.
It's gone.
Well, he told me yesterday.
Okay, well, that's good.
So I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
But I was told that yesterday it would be on. So
hopefully
the order for the bottles, but it's like a month to get bottles, and then that puts us at the end of September before we can even start filling. We're filling all of our own paint. We're manufacturing all of our own paint, so it's a little bit longer. I just don't think I can keep promising October.
But
hopefully mid-November.
Still enough time for people who might want to like paint something for someone for Christmas. I mean, yes.
Depending on how fast they are, yes.
our paints would be a great Christmas gift, but maybe you want to also use them to paint a model as a gift. So hopefully there will be time for that as well.
All right. So colors. I'm wavering between. I think I'm gonna go with dark earth. I don't think I'm gonna use the super dark brown. The dark brown RLM is kind of like black brown. And I don't know. I'm really happy with the color of this shadow. White milk, what's going on? Great stuff. Are they going to be airbrush ready? They will need to be thinned. I'm not a fan of saying that a paint is airbrush ready. Like even Vallejo Model Air paints aren't airbrush ready. They're just closer. Ours are like kind of more like model color paints, I would guess. We're going for a very dense pigmentation so that they work great on the brush and out of the airbrush. But you just saw me airbrush the white. And if I zoom in here, if I zoom in here, not out here, right. You can see the smoothness of the white. There's no spotting, no dithering, no nonsense with this white anywhere, like across the metal here. There's no texturing, no spotting. All of our paints work that same way. They're ultra flat.
So cool. That's really cool.
What's
like,
that?
There's so I knew there was a lot of detail on it.
There's a ton of detail on this guy, like the wraps on the saddle, and yeah, wow. Joaquin is an amazing sculptor. Like absolutely blow your mind, amazing this model. So I think we're going to start with the darker.
That's what got me too.
Yeah, exactly right, Doka. Hey, Elric, what's happening? Yeah, but all of our paints work that way out of the airbrush. We've been painting with them. We had out of the last set of test paints we showed you through the airbrush a bunch of colors and to show the matte finish of the paints, and that's kind of what this is, right? So we did like the yellow off the brush with the kind of lightning strokes there. We airbrushed between the red, the yellow, and the blue, and then painted the black dots and stuff. This was just a really quick kind of a run through to show you how the paints react out of the airbrush, and they're all spectacular. So the ultra matte finish, the ability to get the same kind of quality out of the pot, whether on the brush or the airbrush, is spectacular.
I'll just throw back my legs and pollute my britches with delight.
Thanks, Elric.
6. Elric, 14 freaking months. Also a lying liar who lies. Thank you, my friend. How the hell are you? This we're going to make sure we go super duper thin on. So I've got a ton of flow improver in there to about 5 or 6 drops of paint. I want this brown, again, to lay up over these colors we've put on and give us the foundation for the skin tone, which is going to be those light deserty brown, yellows, pale colors. And it's going to actually be darker on top than it is towards the bottom. So we're going to have to play a little bit with the way our shadows work. But we want this to be a glaze, pretty much. Now I'm going to go ahead and start this on the entirety of the model. All right, so let's just kind of get in here up high. Start using this brown as a filter over all of our colors. And if we do this right, we should get a really, really cool mottled brown. It'll interact with the yellows, it'll interact with the greens, it'll interact with the purples, it'll interact with everything we got going here. And then we'll just layer it up to get the amount of actual brown on here. And then we'll choose what colors we use next based on what we get out of this. Because remember, sometimes you wind up getting a really, really cool color to come alive that you didn't know you were going to get. And it'll eliminate some of the choices that you thought you were going to make with all of your color combos. Trying to do smooth coats. Keep it as even as possible. Even in the shadows. This is not being done like a pre-highlight. This is making sure we get this brown over everything that is skin. This is just kind of that final step of making our shadows appear like they would live on a brown creature. Notice how the yellow starts getting that kind of golden brown feel here as opposed to that pale yellow and green. That all starts to go away as we layer that brown on. Now this is just one layer here. We want to do them one at a time. We don't want to over pile our browns on. We want to come back at it after it sets up and we see what we got. I'm just trying to hit everywhere that I need it.
Of course, Frank, we should have distribution to the UK soon as well. So we will definitely make sure that that is announced multiple times in all different media, so that you guys know that you can get stuff a little bit closer to you. Because we'll ship it to you, but it does...
yeah, we ship all over the world, but it's a little less
more.
painful if we can get this distribution thing working. We've got it ready to go. We just have to get stock over there, and that's the biggest limiter right now, is that we're in the middle of having to remake a bunch of stuff for restocks. Notice how that brown is giving us a totally different color to lay over the top. But our green on the nose is still filtering through. Our purples are still filtering through. The dark green between the muscular levels is still filtering through. And again, we're working really thin here. Don't make the mistake of hitting this with an opaque paint. You'll ruin all the work you just did.
Thanks, Enigma.
Say something awful about Team Jen again?
No. What's awful about that?
He said some awful heresy. Something about Team Jen being the best.
Yep. No, he just said Team Gentastic for life. But he did say Grease too.
That's just because she packs all your orders into one box.
The
Well,
greatest,
huzzah,
he did say,
I'll just throw back my legs and pollute my britches with delight.
And Enigma, I gotta tell you, you're getting a gigantic box, and it, like, I broke out in a sweat trying to pack that.
It's a break your back kind of box.
It was a big one.
She was in there huffing and puffing. I was like, honey, do you need some help? She's like, no, I got it. I got it.
Robo Will gifted a sub. Awesome. Thank you.
Robo Will. Awesome. Oh, and by the way, I think during September on Twitch, if you've been gifted a sub, I
Yeah, they said something
believe
about September.
that you get to renew that gifted sub for like $1.
Ooh, wow.
Right, so
really?
that
like
these
if
people
someone
that got a
gifts you-
sub gift don't have to,
let
eliminate
it
their.
go. So if someone gifts you a sub in September, then in October you can resub yourself for like $1?
I think so.
Wow, that's a pretty good deal.
I haven't read all the rules. I'm bad at this stuff.
Well, huzzah, huzzah.
It's
I'll
something
just
like
throw
that.
back my legs and pollute my britches with
Right,
delight.
milk. Thank you for the sub using that Twitch Prime.
Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're enjoying yourself here today. We are going through and doing some crazy coloration on this dino right now. So hopefully you can see, I mean, for all intent and purpose, like I said before, and I wasn't joking, if you wanted to come in and do a model that just had a really cool modeled green skin tone, we could almost be done, right? Like we could almost say awesome, because notice how now that we've got our greens, our yellows, and our browns starts dragging all of our purple shadows together, we get this really, really cool coloration happening that could be just the model. So even though I'm going to take it a lot more levels further than this same thing that I've shown you today can be used to get some really, really cool flesh tones on any kind of creatures you're painting, or especially lizards, because it's given us a really good desaturated kind of, I don't know, yellowy, greeny. I'm going to keep layering these browns up, and that's going to continue to alter the hue and shift us closer towards, the desert yellows, browns that I want this thing. But there's no reason why you couldn't just stop like where I'm at right now and say, bingo, awesome looking model.
Why don't you donate $5 to the cause and maybe it'll make you feel better.
Thanks, Enigma.
Enigma, crazy man. Thank you so much. Hope the day is treating you all right. Somebody came in here all ecstatic because they won some freaking brushes from you. And I saw that thing too late. I think I saw it this morning that you did it last night, or did I saw it yesterday that you did it the day before? I don't remember.
Was that Bill Neary?
Oh, yeah, I think Bill Neary said he was the one that won, didn't he?
He won a lot yesterday.
Feels like Bill Neary won everything that anybody gave away yesterday, judging by the story. I feel like that's how that worked. All right, so now we're back to where we started, and I'm going to keep layering this brown on. I'm going to clear my needle real quick. A little bit of tip dry, even with all of that.
$5 donation received from Enigma_hobbies. Team Jen is the one that we watch, hoo hoo hoo. The one that we watch, hoo hoo hoo. We are going to be yentastic, you'll see. Oh, and Jason Grease 2 loves you too.
I don't
That
listen.
was supposed to be a song.
I don't listen.
Like you're the one that I want. But Jen's the one that they watch.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
great. Sure, great.
She doesn't sing.
Sure, great. Great, sure. Sure, great. It's Enigma. Can't be trusted.
I trust him. Seems very trustworthy and smart.
He puts you through all that grief.
But he
And then you're
says
just
nice
like,
things.
and you're just like, yeah, he's the greatest.
He has good taste in movies. And he's Team Jen.
And he's Team Jen. There you go. Enigma.
I'll pack all orders for you all day long, Enigma.
Ugh. Lucky bastages. Likes you.
I like you too. Most of the time.
Again, coming back through, hitting even the shadows. I'm even doing the tail. Even though, like we said, I'm going to do the tail in blues, skink style. So Hopefully you can see what a dramatic effect leaving all of those shadows with that purple, I'm out of paint, has, because even when we hit it with this golden brown, well, this isn't golden brown, it's dark earth, right? But as we throw the dark earth up into these deep shadows, we get a color that starts to meld in really nicely with everything else. Doesn't stand out so much as just the purple on its own, but gives us the ability to still have that feeling of kind of reddish, purpley color under the flesh. So all of our shadows up there in the underarm, underneath on the wing, even though we get that kind of yellowy brown that's going to tie it in with the rest of the model, right? It still is thin enough to allow that to have, we didn't get any in here, but it still gives you that purple kind of blood under the skin feeling that I was going for. Dark earth. Again, we'll probably run about, I think we said about 14 colors through the airbrush on this skin. You can see it's going pretty quick, even for a big model. But we're about to get to the point where we've got to start taking our time, because we are, you know, as we get into the highlighting of the actual flesh color, working that with this underpinning of purples, greens, yellows, we're going to have to really start looking at how we want this coloration to sit, play with the values, lighting, all of the techie stuff that makes or breaks a model is about to happen. Right now, we're still in kind of free-for-all mode where we can play with things and adjust on the fly and such. It's still, there we go. Again, the brown is just a really super thin filter over everything. Because this color is that color, right? But you're not seeing that on here, except at particular angles, maybe. But notice how we've lost all of the solid purple anywhere, and now we get a little bit more brown with the purple showing through, the yellows and greens showing through. Hey, Drone, what's going on? Thank you so much for that follow. Can't alter the angle here on this guy a little bit. Liking it, looking pretty good. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
On any.
I don't. Yeah, we already got the one. Probably.
Who's calling you? Everyone you know is here.
Probably the attorney. Probably my attorney. Right. Get this wing another coat. Go. Now we've got the basis for our browns. And start working with what the actual colors are, and now get more specific with the placement of color. Start highlighting, because as you'll see, like I was showing off, notice the pinkish reddish of our purple undercoat that shows through at the shoulder, the knuckles, all those areas where I really wanted it. Bottom of the neck, right, under the eye, right, leg here, obviously the belly, teeth. Our dark greens, our yellows are still showing through. Our yellow is actually still pretty vibrant under that brown in some of those areas where we got it the brightest, like on the tail. The tail's going to turn blue anyway, so I'm not worried about it. All right, so next we got to start thinking in terms of, okay, so lizards. We're going for a light belly color. And a light belly color is always a little hard to pull off on a creature that's low to the ground, because most of our shadow is going to live there as well. So whereas we want it to appear lighter, we can't go to like full brightness. I can't go to like full, value pale sand for the belly, because it'll skew all of the values on the model. So I got to be able to just use a filter of a very light color to give it the sense that the skin is lighter down there, but because it's in shadow, we have to leave it sort of dark. So we got to paint light color dark. There you go. That's the trick. Make it happen. Let's give it to Jen and let her do it.
No.
I feel like this would be a good test for you, honey.
I'm already being tested.
That's true. How's your coming?
It's coming.
Take a look at what she's got going on. Ooh, I like the blue.
Right? Doesn't the blue look good?
Like the blue. Do you have your other lamp on?
Oh, no, I don't. Maybe that's why it's hard for me to see.
Ah.
Haha. So.
Yeah, I think the dark blue is perfect. I think that sets it up to be able to do grays, lighter blues, whatever you want to do on that, I think is going to look great. He's killing this Terra, guys. It looks awesome.
But it's definitely making me like the bone more.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, as soon as you get...
I'm like, ugh,
you got it.
But now I'm seeing it, so it was a good break. I did get a little blue on some of the bones.
Trust me, on that model, you're going to be going back and fixing stuff until you're done. Until you literally put the cap on it and say finish.
I'm happy that I haven't gotten more. So.
Yeah, it's going to look awesome.
Small victories.
Red, bone, white, and blue. Exactly. Exactly.
A patriotic terrorgeist. He loves America.
Looking Gouda.
Thanks.
All right. Let's think about this. I'm wanting the belly kind of, midway up the body to have the light colors start to seep in. Now we've got our shadows figured out, but now we're going to have to start filtering lighter colors on that. And then it's actually going to be darker on the top. So it's funky because as you look at it right now, all of our lighter values on the top, darker values on the bottom, just the way light falls. Now we have to add the actual color of the skin in there and pull off the fact that underneath we want this to look like lighter skin. The idea that I have for that is going from the buff to the pale sand. So those are the colors we're going to use. I'm going to basically have to use a super thin, like dirty water glaze of the buff over all of our shadow here, so that the bulk of our area stays dark in between the skin flaps and such, but on the outside it starts looking like a highlight. And then we're going to have to work out of that buff into our darker colors. We're going to use the buff as the transition color and then work darker as we go up. And we'll have to highlight each of those darker layers. So, you can imagine that at the top center, we're going to have like a reddish brown or an orangish brown coming off of his nose and then going backwards. Beyond the Forge World, what is going on? Thank you for that. And we'll have to highlight each of these colors as we go. So that's where all the time comes in, because we're going to stage it the way the color would be if you just drew a 2D picture. It's going to be light towards the bottom. We might choose to go dark at the extremities. I haven't figured that out yet. And then dark towards the top, where he'll have color like I said, like an orangey reddish brown on the snout that filters back to about these armor plates. And then after that, it's going to wind up being that golden brown kind of color along the back, and a little bit darker with the burnt umber in like almost like tiger stripes that we won't see much of, unfortunately, because of the saddle. But I'll pull them down beneath the saddle and let them show through. So the first thing I want to do is hit it with the buff as that center line color. And we'll work dark up, bright down. Buff never comes out and drops. It always comes out like baby poop. Just one constant stream of very iffy consistency paint.
Iffy consistency. Like baby poop.
Like baby poop.
You just
What
never
did you
know.
have for dinner last night, Buff? I feel like you shouldn't eat that. It doesn't agree with you. I got to make sure this is super duper freaking thin. So I'm going to drag a little bit of water over in here on top of all of that flow improver we've done. Because it's such a bright color, if it's even a little too opaque, it's going to screw with us and cover up too much of the shadows. And while we can afford to sink a little bit of the shadow, we want to try to avoid that as much as humanly possible. I think that's still way too thick. So agua. We're probably 30 paint, 30 flow improver, 30 water in this. 60%, 66.6% thinner. Oh, that looks good. Bright filters, one of the hardest things to get consistent as you start painting. Because they just want to absolutely murder you if you're not careful. They will just get way too much color on way too quick. So let's see. We're going to need to start. A light filter on the legs. A little heavier up from the top side where we've got our value for our light source hitting. So at this angle, I can go a little heavier. If I can figure out how to do this. Oh. Lower jaw, I want bright-ish. Again, we're going to filter this bright color on here and then follow down the throat same way. So I want to get an angle that allows me to, almost like my pre-highlight, to find this center line, brighten it up, but maintain all that shadow and that purple and yellow and green and brown and everything that I've got like that. Right? That's the goal, is to maintain this dark color in the shadows, but give the skin tone the color that I'm looking for. Difficult here. Really working to feather the trigger here, right? I can't afford to like accidentally punch the color up really bright, or I'll lose all that work we just did. Notice how I've lightened this back thigh up, but I've still got that red, I've still got that green and that yellow popping through where I need it. Still got the shadows happening, but now you can tell that that skin is supposed to be much lighter than the rest of the body. Okay, there we go. A little bit of brightness on this shoulder. Again, can't afford to over brighten that too much. There we go. Start that pretty much halfway through the neck, huh? Very extreme angle on the airbrush right now to hit these details on the neck, so that I'm basically using it like a dry brush. This is the kind of stuff that I tell you guys all the time, a way to direct the airflow across the models to get the most bang in color, so that I get the light skin that I'm looking for. But again, notice how all my shadows stay really true. As opposed to shooting like this, I'd pound a bunch of light paint in there, but I want that darker shadow to exist. But now you can tell, right, that the chest area is intended to be lighter skin.
Telemachus had a question. I think Metal God answered it, but Telemachus wanted to know who made the pumpkin you're painting.
What's that?
Telemachus wanted to know who made the pumpkin you're painting, and Metal God said Cyborg Miniatures. Is that correct?
Yep, Cyborg. Metal God got it.
Ray Silver said, finally doing your TKS Mini, yay. And Ray Long said, OMG, what is that dragon?
What is up, Rays? The Rays.
Ray and Ray. and there's Bill Neary with his response.
Bill Neary.
Good job.
Made a almost bot response for that. All right. That gives us that light color underneath that I want. I also want to have like a raccoon mask, kind of an inverted raccoon mask kind of feel. So I think I'm gonna get crazy here. Obviously, these things that I'm doing, like the mask color here, won't really start to pay dividends until we do the brush work to tighten it up. But the goal here is to have like a patch of light skin right around the eye and the nose, I think. Makes sense. Right. Again, getting a fairly severe angle so that I can get my lighter color going on down to the feet. Maintain all that shading that we spent so much time doing. into the light so we got it a little brighter. Sure what the foot pads look like on a dinosaur. So booty. Get that booty. Figure out how to hold the damn thing is the biggest problem right now. Can feather on a little bit of light. Remember, we got to make these extremities look like they are lighter color here without overtaking the darkness from the shading on the model. And that's how you do it right there. Just using this very, very light color, very, very thin as a filter over all of that dark area of skin that we already pre-shaded. Now it still looks like it's the underside of the model, right? It still has a lot of darkness, but because we brought that filter of bright color up, you can tell that all this skin that runs down underneath is intended to be lighter skin. Just that as it's onto the shaded side of the model, we're going to get less brightness out of it and more of that shadow color will remain. Now we got to figure out what to do here in the belly area, so I'm going to go ahead and push a little bit of this brightness down. God. Hardest model in the world to figure out, other than the one you're painting. I feel like I just joined you in this extreme world of, like, how the hell do you turn the dragon to be able to do anything with it?
Right.
Okay, looking good. Got the arms. If I want to do the arms also light towards the ends, I think I do. I really like the idea of being able to play with the claws to figure out, like, and get some, like, of that blood under the skin kind of feel on the knuckles and such.
Why
So I
don't
think I'm
you
going to go
donate
ahead and
$5 to the cause and maybe
do
it'll
the
make you feel
extremities
better.
lighter rather than darker.
Thank you, Ray. Uh-oh.
Ray Silver, holy hell!
I think I still owe you a Willie from Friday.
Oh my God, I don't think that's even possible.
And
$20 donation received from REI_silver. I need to see some hot wet willy action.
Some hot wet willy action. You guys, you're killing me here. You're killing me here.
oh, whoa, it's 3:44 already.
3:44.
Yeah.
What? About quitting time.
Guess I better get on that Wet Willie.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're only on for 2 hours today, gang, so we will be calling it quits here pretty soon. We got to run to our local gaming store and do some painting.
What are you going to paint there?
I don't know. I got enough to take. I got a couple commissions I got to work on. I got more the War Machine stuff that I got to do. Anything's possible.
Have Rob, you hush. My friends. Apparently not.
But I didn't get too far into like a really crazy mixed color. Still just shooting plain
Oh, I think
buff right now.
we're at 41 subs. And I know you left that up there, but isn't 20
What?
every 20 is a
Every
raffle?
20 is a giveaway.
So no, we do have one giveaway.
Yeah.
Because we did hit enough. Because you left that 38 up there, right, as a reminder.
Yes, because
my wet
you're
willies.
owed all of those wet willies from that. Like all the wet willies you're owed.
Free silver, it's always Moscow Mule season. But really, technically Moscow Mule season is the summer because it's a refreshing, cool drink.
So what are we going to give away? We got to do a timer real quick.
Yeah, we
if
do.
we're doing that.
Oh, yeah, because it's 3:46.
It's almost time to go. We can't let it. All right, so
okay, it's going to be a quick one.
you guys get on the ball. What's the word?
It has to be...
Got to pass this off. We got 15 minutes, so it's going to be a short one. Short giveaway. Keyword raffle. What's the word? Come on, woman. Give it to me now.
There's too much pressure.
Booger.
No, booger.
The raffle item is things.
Mr.
Start.
Bucks.
There you go. It's booger. I don't know why. It just is.
Why not?
Stop yelling at me. Stop yelling at me.
Booger.
You got about 10 minutes to get in on it. We do a giveaway every time this little sub number underneath us here, underneath me, hits a multiple of 20. You guys hit 41 today. Thank you so much for all the continued support.
Prize is not a painted terrorist. Darth Jameson, glad you could join us as well. Hope you feel better.
Is it okay
From the
for me to
NyQuil?
say that this may be one of my favorite models?
Yes, it's okay to say that.
Holy hell, this model is awesome. Not gonna lie. Just every time I put a little bit more color, a little bit more of the detail pops out. It's just really, really cool. Very, very cool. That was the goal, was to get the lower half of the body, the water line of the body, so to speak, to start looking lighter. We're slowly but surely getting there. A little bit of feathering of light color up in here. This is the danger zone right here where you start playing with shadows, interrupting that shadow spot. And put way too much brightness on there real quick and get it all funky looking, so that's why we go with super thin paint. Piling it up in there, but that definitely makes the skin look like it's the lighter skin on the body, but we still get some of that purple hue showing through. The greens and the yellows are still there. Lots of it up through here. Not sure what I want to do with the wings yet.
Ray, I think there are like groups of homeschool families that get together for, like my cousins were homeschooled, and I know that their mom didn't actually do much of the teaching. She took them to different things, and like they would go to someone's house and do science experiments, and someone else's house and do other things like art and things like that. So I know there's groups. I don't really know a whole lot beyond that. Your state Department of Ed should have at least the standards for you, though, to make sure that you've got a level of content and material for them. Well. Yeah, I'm not sure as far as like testing and stuff. I don't really know much about what homeschool kids have to do for that. I assume that they would have to have some kind of measure of some kind of assessment to measure their progress, but
We not our super thin buff. Just tell them they're being homeschooled for miniature painting. Then they can just watch us all the time.
Yeah.
Done deal. Done deal. Problem solved. The real homeschooling.
I do know other people who were homeschooled who, well, technically they kind of were homeschooled, but they did just all their classes online. So they did everything online, and then but their travel, they used traveling as a way to learn about the country and all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty cool. They just send the superintendent a letter. They don't care beyond that. No testing. Huh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't really know a whole lot about homeschooling. Make sure that you're doing whatever you do to ensure that they get their credits, so that when they do want to go to public school and for high school, for example, that they've met all the requirements that they need.
There we go. Well on the way. Lots of good stuff going on here. We got our light lower body colors starting to fall into place. Still maintaining a good amount of shadow under there. Left the end of the tail dark, because this is going to be turquoise to blue on the tail, believe it or not. And then we've got to start moving out of the buff as we go up. Well, as we go down, we'll put a little bit more brightness because we're going to go to pale sand. So we'll hit some of the brighter areas with pale sand even on the bottom. And then as we move up, we're going to go into bestial and golden brown will be the colors that start to appear over the tops of these greens and yellows that we haven't done too much to appear. And then we're going to do an orangey brown, orangey reddish brown, this combo here, off of the snout and back to like just beyond the neck, or just beyond the head onto the neck. There'll be kind of a mask of color for him there. And then we'll get into burnt umber for some like tiger striping that happens, even though we won't see a whole lot of it because of the saddle. But it'll still give us the ability to poke some contrast onto it. The tiger stripes, you can imagine with like maybe like a brighter, maybe take the buff that's on the bottom half that we just did here, take the buff and kind of outline the tiger stripes with it, so it gives it some cool contrast as we go. So hopefully, like I said, this is not something that I would normally think about bringing on to the show, the kind of painting that I'm doing here, because it's a very complicated underpaint. We used 1, 2, 3, 4 colors of underpainting that we don't see a whole lot of right now on the model, but that do exist. See all that purple? You get the purple and the red that's still showing through because of the way that we've been painting so thin. So all of that is accentuating our skin colors. Right? We still have good darkness on the bottom of the model, even though we've painted it with lighter skin. Then we've got all of our yellows and our greens are still very evident across the top because we haven't done but one layer of our brown base over this. Then as we start building up the bestial brown and golden brown skin tones that are going to be the whole transition from light to dark, bottom to top on the skin, that'll all start to occlude this green And then we'll move into all of the details, the mask and all of the crazy other skin details and such. I really kind of like the greenish folded skin on the wings. I might just leave that and not do those in much brown at all. We'll have to see.
Very cool.
Still needs more purple. Ray, we don't ever trust you when you say anything about purple. Please step away from the purple. Valerian, what's happening? Mythic Prop, what's going on? Okay, exclamation point Booger, you got 5 minutes. Or 2 minutes, and then we'll pick a winner. And then Jen and I are out of here. I got to find more models. Take them to the store. Paint some tonight. You missed the dog day coupon. You got to be quick, man. That thing only lasted for a freaking month.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. That sale lasted for like 30 days. Over 30 days, because I extended it to September 5th.
I don't think we started it at the beginning of August, though. I think it was
Pretty
like May
close.
the 1st. It was close.
Pretty
yeah,
close.
it was about a month.
Pretty close. Pretty close. All right.
No, look at mine one more time.
One more time. Boink.
So I got the blue done on both sides to right here. And then it looked a little different, so I think I might, I don't know if it's...
Where? Like at the end of the tail?
Yeah, which I'm going to have you look at the legs and stuff too, because I think there's some that will be blue and some that's different, because it's like different.
There's skin and there's like muscle
Yeah.
tissue underneath.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out like what you want to do with that muscly stuff.
Yep.
Because the muscle
There
tissue
you are
would
so
be...
far.
I think it looks really good.
Thanks.
The wings are spectacular. Like you just nailed it with the airbrushing. The purple glaze over the red just looks great. Very
I'm
nice.
excited. I'm excited about all of it.
Very nice.
It's fun.
Well, huzzah, huzzah!
This
I'll
wing,
just
guys,
throw
you
back
know,
my
it's like
legs and pollute my britches with delight.
Like gets in my way.
Valerian with 11 months.
So everything.
Thank
on,
you, my friend.
Everything on this side was more difficult to paint than on this side
Why is that?
because of the wing.
Oh, the way
wing
it's
that's-
angled. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Ray's saying
Purple
purple muscle
muscles.
tissue.
Well,
Because
I
it's
would-
Ray.
But I think purple might.
It's
Don't
Ray.
you? I know, but don't
You can't
think
paint it purple
look
now. Because it's
Ray.
Ray that said it.
Why do you have to say that? Take it back, Ray.
Ray messing everybody up. He's like, just paint it purple. Gotta have some orange, some purple, and some green. It's the way everything goes. It's just the way it is. It's the way it works, right? Freaking Ray Silver. Purple, orange, and green. Make it happen. We're gonna hand him.
My glasses
We're gonna hand him 5 colors that aren't purple, orange, and green, and say, "Go." He's gonna have a brain hemorrhage. All right, what do we got? 46 people in there. Exclamation point Booger. Booger in chat. Time to. I don't know what we're gonna give away. Pick something.
do
you wanna give 'em?
Do you want to do?
One brush.
A brush.
A brush.
One brush.
Get a brush.
One brush and some palette paper.
A piece of palette paper. Jen's
So I
personal
used
palette
palette
paper.
And
Okay, so this giveaway is the trash
paint
day
cup.
giveaway. So it's just gonna get random nonsense.
everybody needs one of these.
We'll give you one of our. We'll put the lid on it because it probably wouldn't even spill.
Yeah,
And we'll
no,
send our paint water.
Yeah.
And
How about I don't know.
it's gonna be a surprise.
It'll be a
They're just
surprise.
gonna
I
get a
think
mystery box. This is
Yeah.
basically just gonna be a mystery box.
box.
I don't know what's even gonna be in it, but we'll pick some cool stuff, and somebody's gonna win a mystery box shipped straight to your door. It will include all sorts of great hobby materials, maybe even some miniatures. Who knows? You just never know what you're gonna get. They're always
Special
good
white.
though. They're always good though. All right,
I
we're
don't think
picking.
we have enough special white to give away.
We're picking. Give us a drum roll. Got a drum
I
roll?
don't.
No.
No.
It's right
Oh, there it is. Does this thing still work? Yes.
Kevrov. Congratulations, Kevrov.
Did Kevin win the last one?
Kevrov's been following forever. No, I don't think so.
Oh. Wasn't Bill Neary.
I don't
You know
think
why
so.
it wasn't Bill Neary? Because Voodoo Von Acid Bath said good luck, Bill Neary.
Oh,
or something like that.
Oh,
It's a voodoo.
ruined.
It's
Bill
voodoo.
Neary got jinxed. He got jinxed.
I think he's probably okay. He won a lot. Of
Kev
stuff.
Rob, you named
yesterday.
it. XUH point winner. You already hit it. Click that. Give us all your updated info, and we'll get you your mystery box out. We're just going to throw a bunch of lanyap in a box. Just random stuff, like leftovers from the fridge, and like just random things. Right?
I like it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Put
we're
some
going to
stickers
send
in
him
there,
50
patch.
of our brushes that didn't pass
Okay.
examination.
We can do that. We can do
He's
that.
just going to get
Yeah.
a grip of bad brushes.
There we go.
Kev Rob is going to get a grip. He's going to get a big, huge handful of brushes that didn't pass QC.
Random things of randomness. Yes.
Yes,
exactly.
random. It's a random box of randomness. We have so much here that our randomness is pretty
It's,
spectacular. Actually,
we've got good randomness here, so it's not a bad day for you, Kev Rob. Probably.
Kev Rob knows. All right, gang. Thank you so much for joining with us. We'll be back again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific, where we will. What will we do? You'll still be painting on your duder.
I'm not gonna. I don't.
Oh, Whip
Stream
Wednesdays, you're not here,
Wednesdays,
so
yeah.
you won't be here. Because it's Whip Wednesday.
Because Whip Wednesday.
Yeah,
So you'll be
gummit.
doing your whip business. It's all about.
Yep,
all
tomorrow's
about-
all about you guys.
about
We'll be here for
them.
Whip Wednesday. Get all your photos ready. I clear out the community gallery before the stream, so don't post anything until the stream starts up tomorrow. Otherwise, your pictures are liable to get deleted.
Somebody
and I won't
likes
see
us.
them. So hold on to them until we start tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific. We'll be taking all of our time to study what you guys got going on. Feel free to ask questions and meet.
That was a good one.
That really was horrible. That was like swimmer's ear, man. I'm gonna like.
You know, I'm tired of the complaints of, oh, that was a bad one.
You're tired of what?
What?
You're tired of what?
That I give you wet willies and you're like, that wasn't even a good one.
You're not the best wet
Like,
willy giver, but that one was
you
good.
know what? I'm doing this for you. So my gentle wet willy is for you. But if you don't like it, then I'll bring it.
Wimp.
I'm not a wimp.
Wimp.
How am I a wimp?
Because your wet willy's a wimpy.
That one was a good one.
That one was a good one.
Yes.
That was not a wimpy wet
They'll
willy.
all be like that from now on.
All right. Except
Or
I still
better.
owe you like 7. So. All right, gang. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. We'll find you're going to get hosted off to Rob and Spiky Bits right now, assuming that he's still operational. I haven't even thought about that.
Who?
So that Rob is still operational. I don't even know. The
He could
hurricane
be
and all that
underwater
stuff.
right now.
So we're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Blake, what's going on? Have a wonderful evening. Don't do
right,
anything
Blake.
we wouldn't do. We love your faces. Adios, gang. Wimpy Wet Willies.